Ever heard of SKILL.md files? They originally powered Claude code for developers, but now they're driving the entire agentic AI frontier. We're talking OpenAI, Claude, Perplexity, GoHighLevel. And here's the thing, there's a short window right now to master this and actually monetize it. Today, I've got Arvell Craig with me. He's the director of AI at Bot Builders, and he's going to show us exactly how to turn your frameworks into AI skills and those skills into agents that run autonomously. Hello, Arvel. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Goodness me, I'm so excited to have you. Can you please tell us what you're going to be talking to us about today?
Yeah, so I want to talk about I don't know, the concept of skills, which is a new way to kind of drive AI agents. I want to show you how to create them. I want to show you what they are, and kind of understanding where skills connect to agents and how this also connects to prompting, connecting to all the kind of things we've been doing with AI the past couple of years, and kind of talk about what's coming next and how creators, entrepreneurs, founders can like take advantage of what they can do right now with AI.
Goodness, I'm so excited. I'm like so pumped for this because sometimes in some of these sessions, people have been touching on skills a little bit, but to actually
Okay.
have a full breakdown and understand what they actually are, how we can use them, how many do we even need? So I'm
Mhm.
super excited. Let's dive in.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. The idea of skills to me, it's like a workflow. It's kind of like let's talk about prompting, right? Normally, when we think about talking to AI, we think about prompting. And for years, we started learning about prompt engineering. We try to figure out how do you talk to and talk to an AI and prompt it right. So that was like the skill that you needed to do to get AI to do stuff for you. But AI would only respond and do stuff when you talk to it. When you leave, it would stop, right? So it wasn't like an ongoing thing. And so I think maybe sometime last year, this whole skills thing came out to kind of teach AI. It's kind of like taking a bunch of prompts. Let's say this. Let's say you took a bunch of prompts, you put them together in a workflow and you packaged them all together. And then you gave AI the skill or this set of prompts, then therefore it could work through the process step by step by step. Or you could almost think of it like, have you heard of like GPTs? ChatGPT had this section or has a section called GPTs where people would create their own section in ChatGPT where they could create their own workflows. I guess you could say a skill is kind of like that, except you don't have to go into a certain section like GPTs in order to turn it on. Once you put a skill inside of your AI platform, just by talking to it in the regular chat area, if you call it or if it knows that you're going to write an email, let's say you're an email marketer and you created a skill to say, when I want to write emails, kind of like a prompt, I want you to not just take this prompt, but I want you to go through this entire step by step process to fully produce the email. And even, I mean, technically with skills, you can connect it to tools, you can connect it to other systems. So let me just pause there. That kind of makes sense. So kind of like I say, it's like GPTs, but it's within the chat conversation area within your LLM.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where I think this is such a great conversation. So this is where I get confused. So is the skill, let's put this into real life. Is the skill like a book in a library and then the chat is like you asking the librarian to access the book sort of thing. Like if you've got like 10 skills, they're just automatically running in the background of your Claude or whatever you're using. And then if you want a new email, do you have to be in a specific thread or can you just be in your own chat thread and be like, "Hey, can you access this skill? I want to do this."
Gotcha. Perfect question. Yeah, you can definitely access the skill from anywhere within your chat conversation. And I think, and the things I want to make sure that's clear before we get into, I want to just share my screen, show you my Claude, and show you where it's working. But the one of the big things I've learned, because I've been studying AI for the past couple of years, and I'm definitely not the expert of all experts. So I follow people that I follow have taught me. And one of the greatest concepts I've learned recently is this phrasing that goes, own the playbook, rent the technology or rent the tech. And what I like about that language and why I'm so passionate about skills is that I think over the past 3 months, Claude has become really popular. before it was ChatGPT, and then only like the nerds or the people really picky use Claude, but some people like Gemini. So there's all these different models. One claims to be smarter than the other. Then the other one, then next a month or two goes by and somebody else is the best. And some people wonder what's the best AI to use? What's the best tech? What's the best AI? And the issue is that the AIs are always changing. And typically, when you commit to one, you kind of get locked into it and you know all about ChatGPT or you know all about this or that. But the thing about skills and why I'm most excited about it is that the concept, once you learn how to make a skill, you can copy that skill because it's just a text file. You can use it from ChatGPT and you can use it. And right now, I think Claude created it or Anthropic created it, but ChatGPT now is opening up their platform to use the same skill file. And the same thing, there's this thing called OpenClaw, ClaudeBot, this crazy new AI. Those also use skills. And then I think you mentioned in the intro, Perplexity came out with its own version of an agent or its own version of a computer where it can click on links, open up web files. So all these new platforms or all these existing platforms, they're all adopting the concept of skills. So that's why I think it's really important that as creators and entrepreneurs, we learn how to make skills really well and know that we can take those skills to whatever AI platform that we choose to use. We don't have to be stuck into just one.
Okay, I find this super interesting because I was actually thinking about this just before because I was talking to someone and they had like 30 or 40 different bots on ChatGPT. And then I was like, but now everyone's using Claude. How do they get
Yeah.
those bots over to there? So that's great because you're kind of saying you can apply the same thing to any platform. So if something evolves and change, just move it over.
Exactly. So when we talk about how do you create one, you mentioned the book on the shelf. So to me, it's like if you've used GPTs, that's a perfect place to start. To take whatever workflow or set of instructions that you use in the GPT, you got your custom instructions, you might have added a few files. That same concept is what I would use to start transitioning them into a skill. Okay. So that's kind of what I think is a good, if you understand that perspective, that's going to be a good focus for creating skills. And I guess one other thing to understand, because one of the things we focus in at Bot Builders is bots, right? We've been building bots for 8 years probably. And back 8 years ago, it wasn't really AI. It was, you could call it natural language processing, but we learned how to script out conversations in a way that was interactive and engaging, that would be great for generating leads, and driving the customer journey towards wherever the customer was trying to go. And so now with agents, some people think about AI agents kind of like bots. They're kind of different, but the thing I've learned about building agents that the best AI agents, and I'll connect this to skills in a minute, the best agents do one thing really, really well versus trying to build an agent or a bot that does 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different things. So when you think about how do I build an agent, the way you build an agent is that you're going to teach it a skill. And so I just want to encourage everyone listening that when you look into this, when you think about your workflow, whether it's email, whether it's copy, whether it's, cold email, outreach, designing videos, your thumbnails, you got to really break down your process in a very narrow, fixed way. Because if you can make your process very specific and not broad and make sure it can do one thing really, really well, it's like the simpler those skills are, it would be more valuable, in other words, to have 3, 4, 5, 6 skills that relate to your marketing or relate to your campaign versus trying to make one that has all those 5, 6, 7 steps all connected to the same kind of, in the same document. So that's just some good practices because AI, of course, isn't perfect. AI will make mistakes and you're going to have to manage it. You're going to have to tweak it. You're going to have to update it as you go. And so again, as narrow and as specific as you can make it, it'll be easier to train it and make sure that it works on a consistent basis once you translate it over into a skill. So just wanted to make that point real quick.
No, I love that actually. It leads to a whole nother point of so if you were a content creator wanting to get something to make you or your content, for example, Are you saying you're better off having maybe one skill that talks about how you want your long form content, another skill that talks about how you want your short form content? So it's not the same thing talking about I want my threads things to look like this. I want my emails to look like this. I want my Facebook to look like this, and I want my blog post to look like this. Which you're ranging there from 200 words maybe all the way up to
Mhm.
2,000 words for a long form post. Are you or blog post, are you kind of saying you'd potentially break that into, say, 4 different skills so that it's not mixing up the blog posts with the same instructions as the threads post sort of thing?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And one other thing about AI is that, like, the way people use AI normally, we've learned to, okay, let me go in ChatGPT, let me start a new thread, let me keep all my conversation going in this one thread, right? That's kind of what we learned because ChatGPT will remember the conversation, it'll remember the history. But the problem is when you stick to that one thread, it only has so much memory. It can only, and that's because its memory, its energy is pretty much what you're paying for. And so the thing is, it can't remember everything. It's not going to, it's just not going to work. And that's kind of the opposite of when we make prompts. Again, as things have evolved, a lot of people have prompts that are really, 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 really long, as if the more words you give it, the better it's going to be. But again, but the problem is that the AI's memory is finite. And if with the finite memory, that can be that can pretty much hinder its effectiveness of executing exactly what you want it to be or what you want it to do. Therefore, when you make your skills, you could load up 10, 20, 30, 40 skills. I know people have hundreds of skills that they've learned or they found online, they've copied, they've, repurposed other people's things, other templates. But the thing is, the way AI works with skills, it doesn't pull in all those 50, 60, 100 of skills. It only reads like the first 2 sentences, so it knows what it is, but it doesn't mess up its memory. And only when you evoke it or only when you call it in the middle of that chat conversation does it get pulled into the conversation and is it used for that specific purpose. And with that, again, from a engineering perspective, not that I understand it, that's what makes it more efficient, and that's what makes the quality, that much better, that much higher.
Yeah. Love this. Thank you. I feel like you're probably like, because I have so many questions. I do wanna see some stuff
Please.
too soon, but what I'd love to know is, so for example, if I did want to, get my Claude to write me, say, like, say I wanted to write me a long form blog post and then a Facebook post and then, a carousel and then um, like a Threads post or something. Would I be starting a prompt that would be more along the lines of, "Can you please write me a blog post on XYZ product? Please use my skill that is my actual personality, and then my skill that is my ideal client, and then my skill that is my Facebook post, and then my skill that is my thread." And you would just list the 6 skills in there that you want it to use, and then it would know what to make from there? Is that kinda how it works, or do you kinda make a bot these days, or how does this all work?
No, it's a good question. Yeah, I never thought about combining. No, I never thought about combining multiple skills into one request. Um, I mean, in reality, I would try to understand what is your process of creating your, whatever your content. I think when it comes to your writing style, your brand guy, your brand voice, whatever those things are, that's definitely going to be, I feel like that's gonna be like one file that's gonna be connected to that skill, but when you create that workflow, that step-by-step process, I think all those things are different, so I would probably do one at a time. I would probably say, "Can you create a blog post based upon this length?" Or really, again, you really don't have to define all that you want it to do because all those things would be in the skill. That makes
Mhm.
sense. So in the skill, I would be asking, okay, what are you writing about? What's the topic? What's the tone? So kind of think of it like a questionnaire. The questionnaire process of creating each piece of content would make up the way the skill works. That's
Yeah.
probably the way I'd probably design it.
Okay, super cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are you able to
Yeah.
show us some things?
Yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen here and I kind of just walk you through how Claude works. Again, I'm assuming most people know, not most. at least half people know what Claude is, know what it does. I think ChatGPT is kind of more known, but the current version of Claude, the desktop app, and I'm on a Mac, it does have three sections it's want to cover. There's the chat section, which is kind of like a ChatGPT. There's the co-work section, which is very agentic. It does a lot of actions, and I do wanna share the difference between those 2, and then the Claude Code, which is more for developers, which I don't do a lot with, though I am starting to learn about it, but so let's get into so there's chat and there's cowork, and the basic real quick, basic difference between these 2, the chat is mainly all cloud-based, meaning it's all connected to the internet and all of Claude's features, versus cowork is connected to your desktop. So it has the ability to access files on your computer. Imagine again, now most people save their files so they can Dropbox or Drive online, but there are some advantages by using folders on your computer. And that's what the cowork side does. It can change things on your desktop. Imagine you downloaded a bunch of videos. You could talk to cowork and it could transcribe videos, it could change file names, it could, also connect to your browser, Cowork, where you can kinda open up Google Chrome, and they can click on buttons and fill out forms, so but that's kinda the Cowork side. But let me go into the agent side. So I got the side menu here closed. You can see here on the left, kind of like ChatGPT, past chat history, some starred conversations and projects. So in the customize area, and I think this just changed a few weeks ago. So who knows what it'll be, weeks or months from now. You click on customize and you can see connectors, which the way it can connect to like your Gmail, Google Workspace, Slack, different other tools. And then skills is where you can create skills. So if I want, these are my skills here. I think the brand guidelines. So these are all examples that Claude gives you automatically. Okay. And so again, so these are the skills. These are mine. If I wanted to create a new one, I just hit the plus symbol, and you've got three ways to add a skill. You can upload it. Like I said, a skill is just a text file. Instead of being labeled, TXT, it's labeled MD because it's in the markdown format, but it's just a text file. You can write a skill like right now, kind of like when you're creating GPTs. When you think about Chat GPT, you can talk to Chat GPT to create a GPT, or you could go straight to the back end and write the instructions yourself. I normally will simply hit the create with Claude option where I can click on that and I can have a conversation with Claude and we can figure out how to create that existing workflow. Okay. So for most people, the audience for this summit, again, I'm going to assume you already have something. I'm going to assume you have some secret sauce. You already have a workflow and SOP. So I highly recommend you take what you already know. Again, take your existing GPTs and recreate the things that are your bread and butter, the things that make you great, and use that to create your skill. Okay. And before I'm not going to create one here yet. I really want to show you how it works. So one of the things I created recently was one of our I do reports. Like one of the boring things about being a business owner or a leader is that you got to create reports. You got to look at spreadsheets. You got to go into certain files and grab things. And so I created a system or a skill to go into ClickUp, our company's project management system, find certain projects, the ones that I manage, and extract for me a report based upon what's been happening in that, with all my team. I've got some specialists, they're building out chatbots. And so if I wanted to create that report, I can go in here and I can say, like, hey, can you create what is it, a chatbot? I can't remember the name of it. I think it's it's funny. I think it's smart enough to know the name of what I'm doing. Like, you don't have to be the exact with your language. I think it's smart enough to know, can you create a chatbot report? Let me just run that. And we'll see. One thing I like about Claude, it's very conversational in a sense that you can see it thinking and it's a little more interactive. You can see here, oh, there it is, chatbot scorecard skill. So it understood what I wanted. I didn't have to use the exact language, and it's gonna you see, it's reading my scorecard skill. It's clicking, it's going through ClickUp, and so it's gonna go through this whole process of pulling out all the data. And so there's a couple things going here. So you think of like Zapier and Make, right? Where you've
Mhm.
got multiple tools connected. So with this skill, it's doing that too. It's connecting to a third-party software, and it's running through the process of gathering the data. I've got 45 results, and I'll probably stop this because I don't know how long it's gonna go, but that is an example of how a skill will work. And again, one thing about all of the AI, as AI gets smarter, it's typically slower. Some people that are just used to ChatGPT giving a fast answer hallucinates often, but it's fast and it's quick. But as AI is getting smarter, they call it reasoning models. They think a little bit more, but the quality is a whole lot better. So I definitely want to encourage, the listeners, depending on where they are in their AI journey, that you're going to want to, when you use the smarter models of AI, it does work a little slower, but the quality is so much better. So definitely get ready to shift the way you think about AI in a sense of just wanting it to move quickly. So anyway, you can see here, it's going to keep going for a while and going through that example skill. And let me run over one other one. Let me just pause it. Any questions on that so far? Makes sense?
No,
I know
I'm
it's pretty simple. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely loving this. And for me, I personally never really, how everyone was like, ChatGPT is the best thing since sliced bread. And I just never felt connected to it. Whereas as soon
Mm.
as I started using Claude, I was like, man, this thing is the best. Like you have whole conversations and it helps you with stuff. And I'm like, so yeah, there's definitely like I've noticed such a big difference in just how like the conversational aspect of it. And because of that, what you can do with it, even the other day I got it to try and debug some software issues I was having, and I was like, "I would never have asked ChatGPT to do this." So, literally love it. What
Mm.
is the next thing you wanna show us?
Yeah, the next thing I wanna make sure I highlight, because again, to me, skills are a subset of agents, right? And so I just wanna clarify when I think about what an agent is and how that relates to skills, again, it's like agent is more of the part of AI that's taking the action. Technically, it can have its own personality. If you're looking at other platforms, an AI agent is like the main brain, and the skills are its capabilities, are its job description, right? And so one of the things, and also with agents compared to basic AI, like I mentioned earlier, it can access tools, but it can also work on a schedule. Again, you don't have to go into AI and ask it to do something every time you wanted to accomplish something. I think ChatGPT has tasks scheduled that I don't know. I never really used it much, but within Claude, so I could have a skill. Let me go here. So now I click on sorry, here's the chat area at the top. If I click on
Mhm.
cowork, I can go to the cowork side where it's still using skills, but you can see here scheduled. You can actually run a task at a certain time of day, manually, hourly, daily. So now you think about when I think about a creator, one of the things I always do is I create I'm trying to, get off the internet more and get off my phone so I can be more focused. I can be present talking to you or be present. So one of my favorite things to do with agents and with skills is to teach them, here are all the websites I go to. Here's my trusted news sources. Here's the topics, the things I'm interested in. And I want you to follow these instructions. I'm gonna give you like a prompt, but that skill, honestly, it's a skill to follow these steps, go to these websites and gather and create like reports for me so that I can I think I run it now on a daily basis. Every day I will get a report of what's happening in the different industries that I work in. And so to me, so there's two parts here. There's the skill, which is the instructions of what I wanted to do, which this almost just seems like a prompt, but I just want to make sure I highlight the fact that you can run this prompt or run this skill on a regular schedule. And this is kind of the place where that works. And so just wanted to highlight that. Again, you can run it hourly. I think that's daily. And again, with cowork, when it's done, it's going to put things in a certain folder, which makes it unique. But just wanted to highlight that. I mean, trying to think. I guess oh, one other thing about co-work is that because it's fixed on your desktop versus the cloud, so I have a computer at my office where I have co-work, and I have a computer at my home. I mean, but again, I got my laptop. So I just realized that this co-work is different than my co-work on my office. So it's the same Claude account, so I actually don't have all of my scheduled morning routines, my research agents, my meeting prep. I don't have that actually working on my computer here, but it's kind of what's that's one kind of weird thing I gotta get comfortable with because the chat part is on the cloud and the chat is the same. The projects that I have are all the same on both computers, but the co-work side is kind of different. Um, but another let me run another skill. Got a bunch of them in here. So this is kind of an example of the morning brief that I have. I run at Bot Builders, we have a mastermind that we run once a month for our students, and I run those. So this is kind of you can see here, this is the prompt or the skill that runs this briefing that kind of describes here's the topics I'm looking at, what's new in AI over the past 30 days. But you can kind of see here, run 6 to 8 searches, good queries. So but that's an example of the the prompt for that skill. So again, what I do is I think about everything that I do in my work, and I'm like going step by step. What are the things that I'm doing? And the goal is every day. My goal is to create, or every week. My goal is to create 3 skills at least that replace the work that I'm doing, so that I can kind of up level my thinking, spend more time managing, spend more time in sales and relationships and things like that. But let me run this skill. I can say run the AI mastermind briefing, and it should be able to work that skill out. And but while that's running, one of the things I want to highlight is if you look online, you can search for skills. Right. I just want to make sure everybody understand. Again, just like prompts. Okay, I want to prompt, and this person's claiming they got the best prompt on this. Somebody else has a prompt on something else. You can find skills on the internet. So if you want that, you can do that. Again, I still recommend you find your own, turn your tasks, your playbooks, your IP into a skill, but you can find other skills. One thing, when you start looking online, you'll find there's marketplaces where people are selling their skills, which was the thing that really got me kind of curious about what we're going to talk about today. Was I will talk about this creator economy, this economy of building agents. And so I just want to again suggest some of the people who are watching the summit to, especially if you're like focused in a certain niche, if you focusing on, med spas, or you're focused on, plumbing or roofing, if you're in a niche, it might be beneficial for you to package. Imagine like people would package prompts. You can package skills, but the language is different because skills empower agents. So really what you're gonna end up creating, so your package or offers could be like a roofing agent, and he's got 7 different skills or 10 different skills, or you got this content marketing agent for coaches, or maybe a personal development coach. So it's an interesting, I don't know, evolution of what people are selling now, and that's kind of the thing that I think is gonna be unique, that if you can create the skills, package them together in an agent, you can possibly monetize or sell your agents to people who might want to, again, they don't want to buy a prompt or a prompt. Again, sometimes you can find thousands or hundreds of prompts, but you can kind of connect your agent, again, your skills to an agent. And that's the kind of thing that I think is an opportunity for those who, are looking to be early in what they're doing. Um, and I think the last thing I think my thing is done, so still running. Creating mastermind briefing for March 2026. So I mentioned earlier that it's kind of slow. So that is, that's kind of again, you can call it a con, or that's why you would put some of these skills or these flows on a schedule where maybe you can run them at night. So when you wake up in the morning, you've got all the work done for you. So when you sit down at your office or your computer, the agent was running while you slept. And so it's got things ready for you, prepared for whatever it is that you're trying to tackle.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
No, I love
uh,
this. You did say that you are trying to put together 3 new skills a week. If someone was a content creator, what are some examples of things that they could put together to just have automated running in the background? Like, as you said, while you're sleeping, it could be doing XYZ. What are some of those that content creators could create?
Yeah, like I said, I think the first step is always like I call it a scout, an agent that's or an agent or a skill that does research for you. So I do think depending on your topics, your people you follow, your email newsletter, you could have an agent check your email for you, look out and research things for you to generate ideas. Number two is going to be right taking those ideas right and drafting them, as you said earlier, into whether it's tweets, whether it's threads, whether it's different types of content. One of my agents is a content repurposer. So it's trained to, it understands my voice and it takes content that I find and repurpose it for LinkedIn or Facebook, YouTube captions for videos. So there's kind of that repurposing, packaging, creating content in that sense. The next thing is again, again, when you get into this, I mentioned the connectors, the fact that Claude was connecting to ClickUp, and I mentioned it can also connect to Gmail or your calendar. To me, I do again, I spend a lot more time on the administrative side of things. I don't know. I kind of like the creative part. So I delegate some things to AI, but also I just want to do it myself. So, but I have AI that prepares me for every meeting. So before meetings come, whatever I need to do, again, it can go through my CRM, find out clients' information, remind me what was I supposed to be doing. So those are those kind of agents or skills that can follow those workflows. Again, think of outreach and sales, right? I've got skills that will go out and do research on speaking opportunities here in Phoenix, and every Monday, I get a report of a list of speaking opportunities of local events. So that's one. And then I have another one that does outreach. So its input is going to be an email address and a speaking event. And its output is going to be just send them a Gmail, an invitation or an introduction to me and what I do. So again, like we think about this summit, when it comes to online networking, things like that, you can have agents that'll just do networking for you, connect you to other people. Um, One unique thing about Claude, because it's kind of smart and it's really good at Claude is good at two things. One is writing, and two is software. So I was just watching someone online who was saying they created a Chrome plugin with Claude Code to follow Facebook groups and monitor when keywords were being said, the things that he was looking for. So that's another thing with AI. The limiting factor is simply our imagination. And so I just want to kind of just share that random thing is that if that's something that you do, if you go to LinkedIn, if you go to other websites, if you go to Facebook groups, you go to school groups, you could probably create a skill that would every morning or before you wake up, go to school, log into 3, 4, 5, 6 different school groups, and then you can I actually want to show you that if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Just because, yeah, because one of the things that Claude Code does is that it can open up Google Chrome and it
Mm.
can go to websites. And so actually, we will go ahead and go to customize, skills, click the plus symbol, create a skill. All I want to say is that let's can you go to school.com, log in to all my communities and check for any messages, DMs to me, and check the feed for any new messages on what could we talk about? I don't know, speaking events. So this is something, and just like with other AIs, the model you use, I mentioned there's Sonnet, there's Opus, there's for Claude, there's these three models. In ChatGPT, you'd have like I don't know what the numbers are, 5.3, 5.4. There's instant, and then there's thinking. So I'm going to go ahead and use Opus, which is the most intelligent version, and da, 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 da. So it should I just want to see how it plans, but this kind of things that anybody could do whatever website different people go to. You go to Pinterest, go to any site. So this skill is going to need to open up my computer browser in order to do it. But right now, we're just creating the skill. So again, I'm letting it do the thinking, let it come up to what it's going to come to see. Do, 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 do. Let me invoke the skill creator and head over to school.com to check your DMs and the speaking event and the speaking event feed. I've got the skill.
I think there's so many
Yep.
cool things you could do with this because, like, if you were a coach or a consultant or you had a business or something, you could literally get it to write you a report at the end of every single week saying, how many of your clients haven't made their payments, how many finished up that week, how many you signed that week, what your retention rate currently is for that month, blah 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 blah. And then, even on a content level, you could go in and get it to look at all your content for that week and go, okay, you had these 3 emails sent out. This one had the best, open rate. This particular, B-roll you did, that one had the most traction. This one got the most comments. This Facebook post got the most shares. Or, like, you could probably really get it to really give you solid reports on what your business or your content or whatever it is actually doing in a way that you would be able to potentially self-improve in a way that would normally take, obviously, hours.
Yeah, and again, I mentioned 2 things with AI that has always been the stumbling block for most people. Number 1 is coming up with ideas. Some reason, like, our brain gets stuck, like, I don't know what can AI do? And the thing is, it's never about AI. It's more about that kind of self-awareness. What is my customer journey? What is my business model? What do I need? What would I do more of? What do I hate doing? If I could hire someone to delegate 3, 4, 5 tasks, what are those tasks that are most critical in my business? And that's will make 100% of the difference of what makes a difference because there's no one size fits all. What I'm doing with AI, what I'm demonstrating are the things that are most sensitive and felt to me. And so that's the thing that makes the biggest needle move with AI is understanding what do you need in your business, not just what AI can do. Um, but
What is your
I think,
opinion on why we're here? Because obviously,
yeah.
you're a bot builder and you've been doing this for a very long time. What is your opinion on, say, for example, you had a school community, right? And you wanted to do outreach every single week to the people in that school community. So they've already signed into your life, they've already paid for the program, all of that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying go out, I'm not saying a cold DM strategy, but, like, I know with a cold DM strategy, a lot of people are like, I don't want a bot in my messages. But if it's something where people have signed into your course or program, what are your thoughts on actually connecting Claude or something like that to automate a Monday message or a Friday message or something like that? Do you think there's any safety issues around giving it access to do that sort of thing?
Mm, yeah, again, I'm definitely more of the um, not ambitious, but yeah, I generally don't worry about it too much. Again, I don't allow it to do anything. I don't have it in, like, I guess you could say open Claw or Claude bot, these other kind of AIs that I use as well. Those ones I'm definitely more strict about, but I don't personally worry too much about Claude as far as it's doing anything within my any email or in any type of school or community. I think for what you were describing, a lot of times the value of AI is simply the listening. It's the fact if you
Mhm.
because that's again with chatbots, a lot of the benefit was the speed in which you recognize somebody sent you a DM or liked or commented, the speed in which you could respond is really 50, 60% of the value because most of us are busy and we're connected everywhere. We don't know what's happening. So the first value of any AI or bot and automation is the speed in which you can recognize somebody's engaged with you or your media or anything like that, right? So I think that's the biggest benefit. And then after that, when it comes to yes, I don't want an AI to send messages for me. Well, again, but it depends the depending factor is what's the message? If your
Mhm.
AI is solving a problem, the beginning, if you put your post out there, like this, if you have a little poll in your school community, like, hey, how many people would like to meet up on Zoom and do like a Zoom happy hour and talk about your challenges or something like that. And if your AI can recognize what they want, and you can, and again, one another with AI is like I want it to say my own words. I want it to be fast, But when it actually speaks, I don't need AI to invent words to people. That's why, again, traditional chatbots, I would write my own words. I would use my own language. So yes, it's an AI delivering it. So even now, when I use AI for outreach, I still write the script. I still look at everything it sends. Typically, it's not coming up with the words. So again, I think if you're tasteful with what you're saying and you're offering value, you're offering humor, you're offering speed, and you're really solving problems, your customer is going to be fine with that. And as soon as they say they don't want it, if you can honor and quickly respect their desire to stop, just like any other form of marketing, I think that's how you win and how you stay safe. But you can err on the side of doing too little, you can err on the side of too much, and it just depends on who you are and how you want to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Love that. Thank you.
So yeah, I think I wasn't able to share. I know I got a couple screens here, and I know you didn't want to put too much. So I can't show you the Claude opening up my Chrome account,
Yep.
but I think you got the idea of kind of what I was trying to share. Hopefully, the audience can get some ideas, or they can begin to realize that Claude, like ChatGPT, at $20 a month, it can do a lot of unique things that make it special. And again, the meta lesson is that the skill format, the files. I think right now ChatGPT business technic and the codex or the coding side of ChatGPT uses skill files, but the regular consumer Pro and Plus don't yet. But the enterprise, the education, and the business versions do. So again, by the time this video comes out, they will probably also use skill files too. And like I said, that phrasing was own the playbook, rent the technology. Because
Yeah.
again, these AIs are always changing. But if you can create these skills, kind of like your prompts, it's kind of like, but if you can understand the skill format, you can use that on any type of AI platform.
I love that. Thank you. While we're here and talking so specifically about it, if we were to put a skill together, what are like two or three tips that you would recommend for us? Like, is there a specific format, a specific word count? What do we kind of need to know to put one?
Yeah. Sorry, the sound that's there is it was kind of weird. No, the best practice is going to use the skill builder that's inside of Claude. And when you describe what you want to do, um, it will able to create exactly what you need that way. Again, I've got other like playbooks. So if you had a document, an SOP, if you had a video, imagine, some, creators have using Loom files, right? Loom videos that walk through when they're hiring a virtual assistant to walk through various steps. You could take that Loom video, transcribe it to text, put that into Claude. So that's the main thing is I wouldn't worry about being too much. I would make sure that it is the most accurate description of a workflow that you're actually using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's less about giving it a 2,000 word essay and more about just being clear, which is also really good for someone like me who uses a lot of words.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, again, it's smart enough to figure out the best way to pretty much create a skill for itself.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here today. This has been absolutely amazing. Is there anything else that you think the audience absolutely has to know?
Mm. No, I just just yeah, I would just encourage you to be proactive and positive with all this AI stuff. Even if it seems overwhelming, even if it seems like it's always changing and it's fast, the limiting factor is again is the human adoption of it, and the only way you're gonna know what works for you is by you actually using it. Um, and I've kinda learned over the years that I'm thinking I'm early, I'm thinking I'm just doing too much, but just everybody learns at a different pace. So don't think you're going too slow. Just get out there and start using it, but make it personal, make it
Yeah.
personally fit to your own workflows.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much, Arvell. If people wanted to find you and connect with you, what is your favorite social media place to hang out? Where are you?
I'd say LinkedIn is where I spend most of my time. That I'm running an AI Agent of the Week series. I've done 8 of them so far, and I just want to just show people ideas of what you can do with agents. But yeah, so go to LinkedIn, look for Arvell Craig, and you'll see some of my content there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so, 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 so much. This has been phenomenal.
Thank you.